And as we all know, in the United States political system of the early 2000s, what goes around comes around. I am an optimistic guy. I always try to be on the sunrise side of the mountain, to be optimistic about the day that is coming. But today, I have to say that I fear for the future.
A documentary premiered at the Sundance Film Festival that brought the spotlight back to Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. I'm Yasmin Khan with The Breakdown, and the documentary, titled Justice, revisits 2018, when then-President Donald Trump nominated Brett Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court. Following his nomination, psychology professor Christine Blasey Ford alleged that Kavanaugh had sexually assaulted her in 1982. She delivered a memorable testimony to Congress, but following a week-long FBI investigation into the claims, Kavanaugh was confirmed and sworn in as a Supreme Court justice. Many believe the FBI investigation to have been a sham at the time, especially considering the fact that it was only a week long. Furthermore, it was largely believed that Ford's testimony was unnecessary, considering there was no way congressional Republicans weren't going to back Trump's pick for the court. The media coverage surrounding the testimony was also predictable. On the left, you had empathy for Ford, who was composed and articulate despite having to relive a traumatic experience publicly. On the right, there was dismissal of her claims, attempts to discredit her, and defenses of Brett Kavanaugh. When Brett Kavanaugh sat for his confirmation hearing, he was pelted with softballs from Republicans. When he was asked more difficult questions by Democrats, Kavanaugh quickly lost his composure, becoming red in the face and professing his love for beer.
Yeah, we drank beer, and I said sometimes probably had too many beers, and sometimes other people had too many beers. We drank beer. We liked beer.
The whole ordeal was a glaring example of how partisan our government had actually become, and how much of a farce these congressional proceedings really were. It didn't matter what either Ford or Kavanaugh said on the stand. Ultimately, we all knew what would happen. Today, Brett Kavanaugh sits on the Supreme Court. The documentary claims to pick up where the FBI investigation left off. During the investigation, which again was only a week long, the FBI didn't even bother to interview potential witnesses who may have corroborated Ford's allegations. Furthermore, the FBI revealed several years later in 2021 that it had, in fact, received over 4,500 tips pertaining to Kavanaugh. Since announcing the documentary, the filmmakers revealed that within minutes of doing so, they were receiving new tips about Kavanaugh, so much so that they proclaimed to continue their work even after the documentary's premiere. Now, the film does not yet have a public release date, but it's said to focus on Deborah Ramirez, the second Kavanaugh accuser who did not sit for a public testimony, and it features a recording that was left on the FBI tip line back in 2018. In the recording, Max Stier, who attended Yale with both Kavanaugh and Ramirez, detailed another incident of sexual assault by Kavanaugh that he claims to have witnessed firsthand. However, the woman in Stier's story later said that she did not recall the incident. Those who watched the film at Sundance say that while the film is largely devoid of any major bombshells or revelations, it could potentially reignite a wave of allegations against Kavanaugh and skepticism of the FBI. At the very least, it ensures that Kavanaugh will never be able to rest on the bench, that his tenure as a Supreme Court justice will be riddled with similar accusations, and that his place in American history will always be seen as undeserved. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like and subscribe, and be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks.